But this is not the future my mother warned me about. And in this future...
So anyway, we're at this period of time when the woo is going to basically just become our new operating environment. So we won't have a paradigm to live in. We'll be living in the woo continuously, and as we do so, universe initiates us into the process of how to live in the woo, and that's what we're going through right now. And so it's complex, right? And so initiation is a thing in humans. Initiation is a pathway chosen by the initiate, or forced on the initiate in some cases by circumstances of universe, but thereafter the rest of their life is altered. Now, we know that this is the case for all of this, and that's the real key part, right? So you know it's an initiation when you step out of that front door, and everything you thought that your life was going to be, everything you thought your life could be, everything that you thought your life may or might be is gone. Just totally gone, left behind in the door behind you, locked in that house that you left, and in that one step, it's gone forever. All right, so that's the burden, the promise, and the reward of initiation is that your old life is gone, and there is something new ahead of you. And so we know that humanity is there now because we're at the point of the woo having subsumed the paradigm. Our old lives are gone forever. They will never, ever, ever be recovered. They'll never be recovered even in a small fraction. And as we go forward here into this future, look at how much churn we keep going through, destroying the past, destroying our old lives. The structures and everything. So we start off with the pandemic. We start off in with the guys patenting it all and finally releasing it on us in 2020, and then doing their lockdowns and the stealing of the vote by way of mail-in ballots and all of this kind of thing, and all of the mask rules and all of the compliance rules, obey, all of that kind of stuff out of nowhere, turning into just this huge fascist state. The social media getting on everybody's case in a serious way. And so even if you were just a normie moving through the paradigm, all of a sudden you start running into issues of, some of the people you followed were censored, this sort of thing. So all of your paradigm starts changing. And then we come on through 2020, the election, the devolution, the stepping away of Trump, the reshuffling of all of the power politics on the planet, all of the churn, Afghanistan, can't talk about that anymore in the media, Rogan bitch slapping, Sanjay Gupta, metaphorically, and all of this kind of stuff, just all this weird churning that you never ever thought you'd see anything like that ever. So, and now, how often do you ever look back to the idea of going backwards to that old life? Very few people do, I think, but it's because they're actually embraced and totally controlled by this initiation process that began just a couple of months back. Now, truly, it began in like 2019, because as the old is dying, you have that initiation process for the new to take us off into that new pathway, and that's where we're at now. The initiation process is designed for one purpose, that you shall move from your old comfort into this new, unexplored, uncomfortable, continuously uncomfortable, disconcerting, disorganizing, and disparate, because you don't know which way to go. There's no clear path. New life. And so this is initiation. So this is the last of the woo, in the sense that once you're initiated, once you start that process, you know the rest of your life is going to be different. So you don't go and look back at the old paradigm. You just launch into the woo and start swimming to go towards whatever it is within the woo that's attracting you, and to create a life in that new point of discovery. or that new path of discovery, that new expedition of discovery that is the rest of your life as an initiate. We live in a structured paradigm controlled by the powers that be all of our lives, seeming to move in a direction into the future in a more or less orderly way. Hiccups and bumps and that kind of thing, but more or less always progressing this way. And then we encounter a period such as we're in now, where there is a giant disconnect from the future as it had been envisioned, and we find ourselves wandering a bit and then coming over and starting to progress this way in a wholly new path, still nominally aimed towards the future, but there's going to be a whole lot of people that are like in the middle of the block, age-wise, that have a vested interest in the current paradigm, or the past paradigm, which is now gone, right? We've sunk into the woo, and the past paradigm is now gone, but they're still in here thinking that it does exist or could be resurrected. And so they're attempting to do it because they have a vested interest in it. And so you see these people wrestling with the idea of clot shot, maybe hundreds of thousands of people dead already, or my job, so that's one of those people that's still stuck in this paradigm, thinking that, oh, it's an odds deal, I won't be the one that's affected. Not that, it's a depopulation agenda. The shots have no effectiveness against. None, zero. In fact, they make you weaker against it. So why the fuck take them, right? And yet they still wrestle with this. Is my job worth risking my life on this shot? And it's like, dude, let me get a revolver and load all the chambers, take one bullet out, spin it, and hand it to you. That's the odds you have. It's not like you're going to have 1 out of 6 chance of surviving, getting a badness of it. You're going to have 1 out of 6 chance of surviving it, if that. The media. So we're going to find out who in all of our media is tied to the CCP and who is, the grinning vampiric fuckers that have been manipulating society for years and have pushed us to the point where the media is responsible for everyone that has died from the vax. Media, 100% responsible. CCP, 100% responsible. They are responsible for everybody around the planet that's died from the vax. Without the media pushing it, would any of the people have taken it? No. They were all mind-controlled into taking it. We're going to have to peel the media. We're going to have to just get in there and it's going to have to be totally upended and redone. It is in the process dying now of its own weight and all of the lies, but I think a lot of the media people are culpable and need to stand trial along with the globalists here as part of the theft of the election. And in the United States, because we're dealing with it at a nationalistic level, we got a real nice tool here, and that is that this is treason and this is a capital crime, so these people are going to be shitting themselves for fear we're going to put them to death. And thus they will spill much beans, right? The rest of the media will be so shaky about whether they should say anything that would reflect positively on China. So at this point, we should have the CCP openly being declared our enemy and be at starting to get into some serious shit with China, okay? This will reflect badly on our mainstream media and all of the captured institutions here in the United States, but the very first one to go is going to be the mainstream media. So basically, we have been infiltrated in an insurgency. And what we're doing, the USA POP, is forming a counterinsurgency. The counterinsurgency is made up of 2 elements. It's made up of military and population. Population has its own civilian command structure, which is infiltrated. And so that's the real problem for the military. They need the population, but they don't need this shit because that's been captured. That's what the election was all about, was sealing the capture deal, right? Returning power to the rightful elite ruler, Das Biden, and would it be a Den Biden? I think he's neuter anyway. So the command structure is captured, so the military can't really deal with the command structure. So the military has to do this thing where it needs to locate within the population natural leaders. Now, these guys are going to rise up anyway, and mostly they will be men, okay, because we're in a point of combatant. We're at a point of contention, and so testosterone will take over. Estrogen has no real place in driving the events that are going to happen over these next few years. These natural leaders are going to arise within the population because of a power vacuum, because the command structure is now captured and is seen as illegal. And since parts of the population do see the command structure as illegal, natural leaders will arise out of their own paranoia, just take care of their own family and their own people and so on. The other people will gravitate to them because they will be knowledgeable, successful, etc. They will form self-organizing collectives. Self-organizing collectives will form around them whether they like it or not. And they will have to stand up. This is the point where you hear in your high school, they say, or maybe even earlier, they say, and usually it's applied to men, they say some men are born to greatness and others grow into it. Okay, the natural leaders are going to be growing into it because in a normal course of events, they would not necessarily have to step up to the level that they've got to step up to now. And the universe is going to surround them with people that are going to be demanding of them that leadership that they are capable of giving. Sufficient unto the man is the good thereof. And so the natural leader will, stand up. Shit hits the fan, some men run and some men stand. And so the natural leaders are going to stand. And they will stand out to the military. And so the military will start in the ordinary course of events promoting and supporting these natural leaders in a surreptitious fashion so that they don't alert the captured civilian command structure to the importance of these in particular individuals prematurely. But we're at that point now, and is tipping out into the general population, and pretty soon the general population will realize that they're going to have to realize this in order for us to be successful, because you cannot have a counterinsurgency that is just military alone. The only thing you get from that is a military dictatorship, and we can't have that here in the United States. Then that turns the population fighting against the military, which is what the civilian command structure wants to, because it's captured, wants to have happen. What we need to do is to have the military, which they are doing, reinforce the idea that this command structure is illegal and support the natural leaders that are going to arise as a result of that state. And this will take some time. This is inevitable, though, within the size of the population and the nature of our population. It is inevitable that these natural leaders will win. The only things at issue is how much of the population is going to survive to get rid of these guys right here and the CCP. If it gets really ugly and bad, lots of the population will end up suffering. We have an opportunity to have natural leaders and a sophisticated military approach that will eliminate or reduce the ability for active here in the United States at a kinetic level. So we won't be shooting people, we'll be using information and ideas and legal maneuvers and these kind of things, right? And so we will upend, this is the overwoo, that will always, every time we come into another age of Aquarius, as we leave another age of Pisces, we're going to come into a new age of Aquarius because it's a great annual kind of a giant circle. And even in that time, thousands of years from now, they will go through it again, and they'll have an overwoo at that period where there will be an upending, just as we are having now. That's just the nature of the age of Aquarius. It's the nature of the vibrations that are affecting humanity as we go into these strange energies in our changed environment of our solar system. And so those energies from space, I'm not bullshitting people when I say universe provides and guides. It provides the energies that cause these natural leaders to get the fuck off the couch and to stand up and say, I'm not standing for this shit anymore. I'm going to go on out and I'm going to correct it. okay? And then it guides them with the wavelength. So that we'll get back to the frequency, really. They're getting a frequency of energy that is making them do this. And they have no choice. You know, they could they could, if they worked at it, maybe not do this. And maybe there are some individuals that say, no, I'm too tired, I don't want this fight, so on. But most of those people that are going to be triggered into being the natural leaders have no choice. And they're just as unaware of the fact that they're a natural leader. They may think of themselves as, you know, an alpha male or that sort of thing, but they don't know of themselves as their role in this place in time that universe is now creating. And so they cannot yet see themselves historically. If I see these people arising and the self-organizing collectives forming around them. So the companies are forming. Our irregular is well underway at this point. We got traitors here in our own country, right? We've got people here in our country that are insurgents, and they've infiltrated us, and we've got legitimate traitors, you know, people that have been paid to be the Benedict Arnolds of this particular phase of our revolution here. And this is AmRev 2. This is American Revolution 2, and it's going to go global, and it's going to be global rev, and we will end up with a global humanity.
We've been fighting a long time. Humans have a strength that cannot be measured. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance. And in this future, I don't know that we can win this war.
This thing is something we've never seen before.
You think you're human?
I don't know. If we